General Mr. Udhay Bhaskar and our senior advisor Deshpande ji and today's guest speaker Mr. Dinesh and all the audience to this talk. And as you all know, the mission of ADCOC and the ADCOC Training Academy is to achieve the professional excellence by educating the officers. But to do so, learning and educating and upskilling of the technical knowledge is not just sufficient. One has to understand themselves very to learn about their positives and negatives and weakness, and to maintain their emotional balance to take a strategic decisions in their professional life. It's not just about the professional life, and it is very much relevant to the personal life as well. So today we all have taken time out to understand better way, and we are so glad to have with us our colleague Mr. Dinesh Kumar. Though we all know him as a drugs inspector, he is a professional psychologist and he holds qualification in psychology, psychotherapy, and organizational psychology. And prior to joining the services, he was a professional corporate trainer and trained for about 50 companies and many counselors. And he also got trained in neuro-linguistic programming, neuro-associative conditioning, and psycho-cybernetics and transactional analysis. That brief back introduction, I would like to warmly welcome Mr. Dinesh, and the floor is yours for today.
Thanks a lot, Lakshmi Prasanna, for the warm words. I welcome all the participants to this wonderful evening's program on self-awareness, and respected seniors, my colleagues and other friends who have joined this program. I thank ADCOC for giving me this opportunity. And to start with, we have been busy with our own activities day in and day out. So let's take some time to look into ourselves as to why do we do what we do, and can we change or stop what we do if we want to. Now let me start off with a small example. There was a professor who called up to a psychiatrist and told, "Sir, I would like to commit suicide." The psychiatrist asked why. The professor said, "Sir, I have taught for 30 years at a university, and on the day of my retirement, nobody greeted me, or there was nothing great. So that's why I'm depressed." Then the psychiatrist asked the professor, "Professor, think over, have you really taught for 30 years? Or have you taught the same year 30 times? So there's a question for all of us also, that have we lived for 10,000 days, or have we lived the same day 10,000 times? Now, we do many things day in and day out, and that's called as behavior. And our behavior is displayed outside to people. And before we go further, let me give you a brief introduction of psychology. Psychology studies behavior, very simple definition. And behavior is defined as the outward expression or external manifestation of internal mental events. So the behavior, before it is being displayed, it is designed, and there are some psychic elements which are involved in designing of this behavior. Now, we all know the difference between mind and brain. Mind is the physical organ which is there in the head, and brain is the physical organ, and mind is the data or information which is there through our experiences. Now, let me tell you that we are gripped by the programming which we had throughout the childhood and later time. And until we come out of this programming or the power of the script, we will not be able to realize the actual potential of our life. There was a group of football players. After the football game, they were going to their village and they got into the boat and they started rowing. It usually takes 2 hours for them to reach their village. And they were rowing. It was more than 2 hours and they are not able to reach their village. 3 hours are over, 4 hours are over, 5 hours, it is early in the morning, but still they couldn't reach their village. And when they observed, the boat was tied to the shore with a tight rope. So it is not that these people have not worked hard. They have actually put in more efforts than actually required. But still, they could not reach their destination because they were pulled back with that rope. The same way, unless and until we break the conditioning or the script which is stopping us, we will not be able to, actualize the real potential. You must have observed in many situations that 2 individuals or 3 individuals differ in their response to a given stimulus. The stimulus may be same, but 2, 3, 4 or 5 people differ in their response to the given stimulus. Let's take an example. A person walked into a textile showroom and he started looking at some shirts. The salesman came up to him running and told him, "Sir, these are very costly shirts. Come this side, I'll show you some cheaper varieties." Now, think about it. What happens to you when somebody tells you like this? So the first person got angry. He said, like, what do you mean by that? I can buy the entire shop along with the owner. That much of money I have. This is one possible response. The second person responded saying, like, maybe I look like that. I'm not fit to get into this shop. So he withdraws, feels bad, and goes away from the showroom. And the third person thanks the salesman, saying, "Thank you for informing me that you have cheaper varieties also. Let me see these shirts first. If my pocket permits, I will buy these shirts. If my pocket doesn't permit, I'll buy the cheaper varieties. Anyway, thank you for giving me this information." So there are 3 individuals responded in 3 different ways. And why? We must have also seen in day-to-day life that many people respond to the same stimulus in different ways. And why? What could be the reason? The reason is that we all carry a unique psychic structure. And that psychic structure is unique to us and makes us respond or behave in a certain way in a given situation. And this psychic structure is called ego states. And let me show you a slide. Can you please enable the screen sharing?
For you, sir. Can you please check the specimen option now?
I'm unable to see the screen.
Not it.
Okay, before she does that, let me show you that all of us, our psychic structure is made like this. There are three stacked circles, and this is the psychic structure we all carry within us. This is a symbolic representation given by Dr. Eric Berne. And there are three parts of our personality, and these three parts are called as parent, adult, and child. So they are represented as PAC. Okay. Now, is it possible to share the screen now?
It's enabled, so you can
But
explain.
I'm unable to see my desktop.
So click on share screen option at the bottom.
I should be able to see my desktop.
Yeah, once you click on, then you'll be having three different options.
What is that?
Click on the share screen option, which is at the bottom, sir. Then it will be
share
taken.
screen I have clicked. You don't have this option. Yeah. Okay. Let me continue before this share screen option is being updated. Now, all of us have three parts of our personality, and these parts are called as ego states, and the theory is called as ego state theory. Now, when we all have three ego states, then why do we differ in our response? The problem here is that though we all have three ego states, the content or the size may differ. For example, see, a person may have an egogram. This is called as an egogram, or the personality structure like this, where the parent ego state is dominant. In this case, the adult ego state is dominant, and in this state, the child ego state is dominant. Now, so the person who is parent dominant may immediately respond from the parent, and the person who is adult dominant may immediately respond from the adult. And because this is the readily available, most familiar ego state for him, so obviously he will try to respond from the ego state which is easily available to him. Now,
so can you
why
check it now?
This content?
Can you check the share screen option now?
Only whiteboard and iPad option is there.
There is an option of screen. You can select it.
There's no option.
Or else, can you please send your presentation to me so that I will run it from my end.
See, I'm able to see whiteboard and iPad option. I'm unable to see my desktop. Okay, try in the meantime. Now, the parent ego state is called as the taught concept of life, because what has been taught to us, especially in the formative years of life, that is 0 to 7 years, and the adult ego state is called as the thought concept of life, and the child ego state is called as the felt concept of life. Now, the content and the size may differ from person to person about as far as the content is concerned. Now, what I am unable to see that. Now, let me come back. 0 to 7 years are called as the formative years of life. See, a person takes birth 4 times in his life. The first birth is called as the cellular birth, where we start our journey as a single cell. And after 9 months, we take the biological birth. After we are born, immediately we are patted or stroked by the doctor. That's the first incoming information. That's called as a psychological birth. And the mind starts recording the events. And at the age of 4 or 5, we start the social birth. Now, if you look at the parent ego state, parent ego state consists of what we copied from the parents as well as parent figures. It could be anybody like a parent for us within that 0 to 8 or 7 years. For example, see, parents have complete control on us. When we come into this world, we don't have any information. So with the help of that information, we are unable to form any logic. Rationality will not be there. So we are completely controlled by the parents. So the incoming information is more from the parents. Now, the incoming information, if we broadly look into, for example, prohibitions. Parents, out of fear that we may end up doing wrong things, they prohibit. And these are called as injunctions. Injunctions are the powerful, not okay messages given by the parents as well as parent figures, especially in the formative years of life. Now, what these injunctions do, you must have heard this word. It's a quote used in court language. Injunction is to stop or prohibit. Now, when I try to do something, a prohibitory message from my parents or parent figures stop me from doing that. For example, there's an injunction called as don't exist. When parents tell you that you must have died before you took birth, or पैदा होने से ही पहले ही मर जाना था. If a person receives this kind of an injunction, he thinks that in a later life, he may think that his life is not worth living. And at a later stage, in his later life, he may consider suicide as an option in a stressful situation, basically. So generally, the parents may not be intentionally doing it, but out of frustration, when parents tell repeatedly the child, maybe the child, the parents never wanted, or the family considered this child as an inauspicious child, or that the child's birth took place at a time when the family was going through a lot of problems. The family is not ready to accept the child. So this kind of it's one of the injunctions where the person is prohibited from living. And the second example we can take is don't be you, because most of these injunctions carry the word don't. So a lot of statements which parents use, especially in the childhood, they start with don't do this, don't do that. Now, don't be you in the sense, the parents never wanted the child of this sex. Parents must have expected a male child and a female child took birth. So the parents openly express their dislike towards the child. Or otherwise, the parents must have expected a female child and the male child happen, and this child will develop a feeling called as that I am not a welcome child. Every child would like to be a welcome child in the family. The family tells the child that you are a welcome child, we prayed for you, we wanted you to get into this family. And that gives a better psychological position to the child rather than telling the child that we never expected that you will happen. Now, this person will never feel that he is an important person. So he will not try to achieve something where he will be treated as a VIP. Now, there's another injunction called as don't think. Don't think is an injunction where when the children, they try to display their creativity or they try to do something different from what the parents have been doing, they have been stopped. So don't think in the sense, generally we say, ज़्यादा होशियारी नहीं करना, अपना दिमाग लड़ाने की जरूरत नहीं है. Telugu we call it అతి తెలివి చూపించకు, నీ సొంత తెలివి ఉపయోగించకు. When the children were stopped from thinking on their own, they were scared to think something new. Like when the parents send the child to a shop and ask them to get a coconut, for example, the parent reassures, what is that you're going to ask? The child says, see, I'm going to ask for a big, nice coconut. So did I tell you all that? You just shut your mouth. I'm writing it on a piece of paper. You carry this paper, show it to the shopkeeper, and just get whatever he tells you. Now, the problem here is that the thinking option or ability to think creatively when it has been stopped. In the later life, imagine a boardroom. A meeting is going on. The manager asks, use your mind. Apna dimag ladao. But I have been told in the childhood that apna dimag ladane ki zarurat nahi hai. There's a conflict. That my parents told me apna dimag ladane ki zarurat nahi hai. Do what I say. But my manager is asking me, apna dimag ladao, kuch karo, so that we can market the things or whatever. Now, these kind of things happen. And some more examples, like for example, gender scripting, where we give a differential treatment to girls and boys. Parents always buy teddy bears for girls and guns for the boys. Have you seen a parent buying gun for a girl? No. And the power of the script, if you can understand, one of the training programs, one of my participants shared an example where you all know that at the time of marriage, after the marriage is over, you call it bidai. So the girl will have to go to their in-laws place in the evening, everything decked up, all the relatives are ready to give a farewell to the girl. And you know what happens? Who has to cry? The girl has to cry. This is the rule. But he was sharing an experience where the boy, the groom, is uneducated, B.Tech from Hyderabad, and he's being married to a software professional from Bangalore. Now that girl holds a job, drawing 2 lakh rupees per month, and she owns a house there. For some reason, the marriage happened in Hyderabad. Now the boy is going along with the girl to Bangalore to stay with her. But still, the relatives, friends, everybody is expecting that the girl has to cry. Now, if you can understand the power of the script. So, can you imagine a boy crying? The girl is confident in, okay, I'll take care of you. And the boy is crying. And all the relatives are telling the boy, don't worry. This is, we can't accept, because this is not allowed in our society. Now, things like this. Now, along with the provision, I am not here to tell you that parents only give us the prohibitions. The opposite of prohibitions are what? Allowers or the permissions. Parents give us prohibitions as well as permissions. But the number of prohibitions are more than the number of permissions. And if at all parents give permissions, these permissions are conditional. Every time there's a conditionality is being applied to our behavior. The parent says, it's okay only if you dash, 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 dash. In a sense, I'll be happy because the child's greatest goal in the childhood is to please the parent. In the office, it's our manager or boss, but in the childhood, it is the greatest goal of the child is to please the parent. But the parent, in order to be pleased, the parent will put some conditionalities. Like I'll be pleased only if you get first rank in the class. Otherwise, no. It's okay. It's okay only if you get first rank, you win this prize, you win this medal, you are the sharpest in the class, you are the best in the sports, everything. But the opposite of that is that it's okay. It's okay to be whatever you are, and there is scope for improvement. And now, when the child, for example, is trying to get down from the stairs, the parent always says, be careful. What does it mean? It comes with a sting. When I say be careful, it says you may fall down. I never say be confident. Now, the prohibitions or the injunctions which are there, like given by the parents, like parents give us prohibitions, parents permit us to do many things, but there are some overprotective parents. They're extremely careful and do not allow the child from interacting with the world and learn something on their own. Now, what parent ego state consists of? Parent ego state consists of the behavior copied from the parents as well as parent figures. And parent ego state is also called as the demonstrated concept of life. Can I use the screen sharing now option? It is still not there.
Sir, you are given privilege for sharing.
Sir, it's enabled for you.
But I'm able to see only Dropbox, Microsoft OneDrive, Google Drive.
If you could share, if you could send your presentation to me, I can run it from my end. Can you quickly send to my email ID?
Yeah, I will. Oh, but it's very difficult. It's too high.
Sir,
yeah.
Sorry to disturb you. The moment you see some other options, that is iPhone, Google Drive to share,
it's not audible. It's not audible.
Sir, you are given privilege to share the screen. That's why you are able to see that those options, that iPad, whiteboard, ET, etc., etc. So there may be some setting issues in your system itself.
It's not audible actually.
Sir, what he's trying to say is that that option is available. That is the reason you could be able to see these whiteboard and other options. Perhaps you might.
But in that, I'm not able to see the desktop thing.
All right, sir. I mean,
there are only two options: iPhone, iPad option, and whiteboard option. That's it.
So can you quickly send to my email ID so that I can run from my end?
Sir,
but there are videos and all.
Open the presentation.
Okay, we'll try to.
Yeah, it's done now.
I don't think.
We could see your screen now.
You are able to see the screen?
Yes.
Now? Are you able to see this?
Yes, sir.
The files?
Adcock presentation files we could see.
Okay. Okay. So okay. So for a change, yeah, there are some pictures. See, I have told you that at any given point of time, we operate through one of the ego states, and there are three ego states. So just looking at the pictures, think which is this person, which ego state is this person in. At this point of time, the person is in adult ego state. Just preliminary information: parent, child, parent, adult, parent, child, adult, parent, child, child, okay. Am I audible now? Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay. See, the parent ego state carries some content which is given by the parents as well as parent figures. These are the behaviors which are copied from parents as well as parent figures. And when at any given point of time, let me tell you, we have a psychic structure. The point here is that we differ in our responses to the same stimulus because we carry different psychic structures, and the psychic structure is made up of three ego states, and these ego states are named as parent, adult, as well as child. And now the parent ego state consists of, or it's a copied behavior from my parents as well as parent figures in the formative years of life. So we talked about the permissions, prohibitions, the controlling, because it is a parent ego state is a demonstrated concept of life. In the sense, when I came into this world, I am new to this world. So somebody demonstrated this world to me, or life to me, how life should be lived, what are the rules of living, what is discipline, what is orderliness, what should I do, what I should not do, how to greet. Everything has been taught to me. For example, when we join the job, somebody will show us. When you do seizure for the first time, somebody shows you, and we come to know what is seizure all about. Now, when we come to the child ego state is a somatic ego state, and in response to what the parent told me, the emotional and the feeling based responses which are generated are stored in the child ego state. When I say I'm operating from my child ego state, I mean that I am behaving, thinking, or feeling like a child in my childhood. Now, adult is what? See, parent as well as adult ego state both are developed in the formative years of life, that is 0 to 7 or 8 years. But once we are 9 months old, that's called as the locomotor stage, where I start crawling. And now, when I start crawling, I, experience the world on my own. For example,
Hello.
Now, you have observed that the child is active, adventurous, and is exploring the surroundings. And especially once we are 9 months old, we start interacting with the environment around and we start gaining information based on the reality check. So that goes on forever. Now, what the adult has to do, does something called as a reality check. For example, when I was a young child, my mother used to tell me that there is a boogeyman behind the door, and if you don't eat, the boogeyman will come and eat you away. The response which was given by the child is real. He shivers and the response is real, but the boogeyman is unreal. But when does this fear go away? At some point of time where the child goes up to the door, opens the door and finds no boogeyman behind the door. This is called the reality check. Because of the ability to explore, he went up to the door, checked the reality, and at that point he realized that there's nothing called as boogie in this world. So through reality check, we gain some information on our own. There are many areas even now which we have not explored out of the fear or out of uncertainty. We fear and we don't explore. And as far as those things are concerned, we have the information which has been taught to us or told us that this is what it is all about. Now, until unless I go and cross check, test the reality, I'll not be able to add that information to my adult. Now, see, out of all these three ego states, and which ego state is good or which ego state is bad? There is no ego state which is good, or there is no ego state which is bad. We are supposed to use the ego states based on the appropriateness of the situation. Now, for example, is the child ego state good? Yes, it is good, because there are many occasions where the child ego state helps you, because child ego state provides you the access to the creativity, spontaneity, and adventurous nature, the joyous nature of the person. Now, imagine a situation where you are watching a movie, and when you are watching a movie, which ego state you are supposed to watch this movie through? You are supposed to watch this movie through child ego state, because there are a lot of things which are shown which you can't reason out through adult. For example, imagine a situation where there is a hero and there are 10 people surrounding him and shooting at him with a machine gun, but nothing happens to the hero. And in a scene, hero signals the bullets to turn and go back. The bullets go back and hit the person who has shot it. And we feel so happy about it, because we don't want to logically check whether it is true or not, whether it is possible or not. In the same way, there are many situations where adult is actually required, where if you use your child ego state, then obviously it will be inappropriate. Then what exactly is the requirement of a parent? See, when you are supposed to take care of somebody, when you are giving instructions to somebody, you are using parent ego state. When you are teaching discipline and orderliness to somebody, you are using your parent ego state. And when you're taking decisions, or whether you're trying to solve the problem, because all these three ego states are the psychic elements, and they participate in the intra-psychic process. And there is always something called as a trialogue. Trialogue in the sense, meeting of ego states in our head whenever you have to take a decision or solve a problem. Now, if you want to actually understand, in the morning when you get up, every morning 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, you want to get up and go for a jog. You set the alarm for 5 o'clock. The alarm rings. At that point of time, these three ego states come into picture. There's a power fight going on among these three ego states. The parent gives you, tells you, scolds you rather to get up and go for a job. Adult gives you the logical explanation as to why walking is important, and if you walk, what will happen to you. But the child, the pleasure-seeking, fun-loving child, may want to continue to sleep. Now, whichever the ego state which wins, obviously that you're going to do, and most of the time we end up sleeping. We silence the alarm clock and we sleep. In the same way, in many situations where you are supposed to make decisions, see, ego states, we have to look at them in two ways. Internal ego states, in the sense, how these ego states influence our thinking, our problem solving, or decision making capabilities. There are many times where we take decisions based on the childish desires, so the pressure of the child, but later we understand that I should have used more logic, because this, I should not have purchased this at this point of time. But the child in you wanted it, so you went for it. In the same way, externally, because when we behave, our behavior finds expression, and when we, for example,
Dinesh, are you trying to play something? Because we could not see anything, or we couldn't hear anything.
you're unable to see anything?
No.
At least, do you have the audio? Are you able to listen to?
No, Dinesh.
Nothing?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, now,
Sir, if you want to play some audio, you need to share your computer audio in share screen.
okay, in this, but I am unable to see anything.
You can see an option share computer sound when you click on the share screen option.
Okay, anyway, now let me make it very simple, that each one of us carry a unique psychic structure. This unique psychic structure is made up of 3 parts, and these 3 parts are called as ego states. At any given point of time, we operate through one of these ego states, and these 3 ego states have their role to play internally as well as externally. Internally, like some information has been already given to us in the childhood, especially in the 0 to 7 or 8 years. This is called as the formative years of life, and that is the point of time where the information which has been given to us is also called as introjected information, in the sense when we didn't have enough logic or enough capacity to think or enough capacity to edit or audit information, the information which has been given to me directly went into my mind. Those fears are still there, and these fears have to be checked by the adult before being used. So adult is what? Updated version of the child as well as updated version of the parent, as well as the information which I have gathered through reality check, reality testing, and through exploration and through adventurous nature. Now, internally, these ego states find their space in problem solving, decision making, and the intrapsychic process. So when I design my behavior finds expression. For example, when I say something to you or you say something back to me, when I say something, it can be a word, gesture, or posture, or anything which I do or say has impact on others. Now, these are the external ego states. When I say something through one of these ego states. For example, I may say either through P, A, or C. Now, whatever the ego state which I choose, that will have the impact on the other person. Now, apart from the PAC, we have a subdivision. For example, like when I say something through my parent ego state, I will have to see whether it is appropriate or not. Because if the situation is appropriate where I have to display my parent ego state, if I am unable to decide upon the appropriateness, that means that I am unable to use my adult to check the content and deliver. Because once I deliver, my behavior has impact on the other person, and that person will say something back to me. Now, these ego states are further divided into Are you able to see this slide?
Yes, sir.
You are able to see the slide?
Not
We
slide,
could
but
see
you
the
are
options in the tab. But the slide is not yet open.
Is it visible?
So
No?
we can see your screen, and there are many options in that ad hoc presentation.
Okay, but I have already opened it.
Yeah. But the specific PPT is not able to.
Okay,
I
let
mean,
me
we
try
could not
once
able to see
again.
that.
Is it visible now?
Yes, sir. The functional
Yes?
ego states one we could see now.
Yeah. Okay. Is it fine?
Yes, sir. Please. Go ahead.
Okay. Now, first, initially, we learned about the structure part of it. How we are structured psychologically. We are structured in the form of ego states, and these ego states differ from person to person based on the content. Now, these ego states are crucial in the intrapsychic process, that is our problem solving or decision making abilities. Now, when my ego state finds outside expression, this is the functional part of it. Like when I day in and day out behave, at any given point of time, I operate through one of my ego states. So the parent ego state is further divided into critical parenting as well as nurturing parent. Because when we received some information from our parents, they behaved critically with us, they taught us discipline and orderliness, as well as they showed love, affection and all, and we also copied that. So when we are critical, angry, we are giving rules to others, and we are teaching discipline and orderliness to others. We are trying to control their behavior because we are in a controlling position. We are said to be operating from the critical parent ego state. That's called as the CP. And now, when we behave in an affectionate, lovable way, we forgive others, we protect others, we guide, suggest, we take care of others. This NP refers to caring, motivating, inspiring, protecting behaviors when we display. We are said to be operating from the NP or the nurturing parent ego state. Now, when I operate myself from adult, I am talking about the displayed behavior now. It is visible to others, and this visible behavior will have impact on the others, because when I say something, I may get something back from them. Now, what I tell, it depends on me, and I in my ability to assess the other person which ego state is in. Now, when I operate from adult, how I look like to outside, I'm reasonable, justifiable, practical, mature, data-based, appropriate. So when I'm behaving in an appropriate manner in the given situation, when I'm mature, justifiable, my behavior should be justifiable. Practical, I'm practical and I have some logical data to support my behavior. I'm said to be operating from an adult. Now, when I operate from child is further divided into free child and as well as adoptive child. Because when my parents behaved critically with me, when I came into this world, I came with total free child, because you saw the video, I am free, I am moving around, I am testing, exploring, and adventurous. But over a period of time, because of the controlling nature or controlling parenting, I adapt, because I am supposed to adapt to the rules of this world. So slowly I learned to adapt. I learned to say good morning. I learned to keep quiet when elders are speaking. And I learned to obey my boss or the superiors, obey the rules like traffic rules or government, whatever. Now, and there is something called as free child. When I behave from my adopted child, I behave like this. And I behave from free child, I am outgoing, outspoken, creative, spontaneous, joyous, happy, like that. Now I showed you the video where the person was basically in the adaptive child mode, where he was cribbing that he's cleaning the floor and everybody is coming and spoiling it. But the other person, the hero, went and hugged him and gave him the nurturing parent and consoled him. So then finally he felt good about it. Now the problem here is that, see, next, finally, if you look at, it's a final subdivision. The critical parent is further subdivided into the dominating mode as well as the structuring mode. CP, when I say CP minus as well as plus, you have CP minus is called the dominating mode. Dominating mode in the sense when a person is overcritical, highly angry, because see, when I told you initially that when I display a behavior, it's called as displayed behavior. When I frequently display the same behavior, I will get some identification based on that behavior. Suppose somebody displays frequently angry behaviors, he will be called as an angry person. Now, a person who is in CP minus will display behaviors which are highly angry, insulting, demotivating, and fault finding kind of a nature. And structuring mode, CP is good as well as bad. The good part of CP is that if you are using critical parent mode for a positive purpose, for example, to teach discipline or orderliness to somebody, to control somebody's behavior, and to get some discipline in the organization, you are using structuring mode. In the same way, NP, nurturing parent mode, has positive as well as negative this thing. Now, when I say negative, NP minus is also called as the marshmallow mode. In the sense, if you are trying to be sweet to others, if you are too forgiving and allow everybody to sit on our head and dance, NP minus. NP plus is what? You are using nurturing parent abilities, but to take care of somebody genuinely, protect them, and give that care. Accounting mode is adult, when you take everything into consideration and behave. Now, adaptive child mode also has two modes, that's AC minus and AC plus. That is cooperative mode. AC plus, when you respect people not out of fear but out of respect. AC minus means imaginary fears, and you just fear without any reason. FC also plus and minus. FC plus in the sense you are using your creativity, spontaneity, energy, outgoing, outspoken nature for a positive purpose. Because in any organization, if free child is being demotivated, there's no energy in the organization. That's why it is said, work made fun gets done. So the combination of adult as well as with a free child, the things get faster because free child pumps in that energy which is required. But if the free child is left uncontrolled, this is called as the reckless mode. Now, okay, when we behave, we interact with people, and these are called as transactions. And now, before I go further, I just wanted to tell you that because of the power of the script, or because of the conditioning which we received throughout our life, we tend to find it difficult to come out of it, and we resist change. And in order to keep back with our favorite behaviors, or the behaviors with which we are there for a long time, we use a process called as discounting. Discounting is the process of unawarely ignoring the reality. For example, if I'm comfortable with some kind of a ego state, because each one of us has a favorite ego state, a familiar ego state, and unfamiliar ego state. And I love to be always in the familiar ego state because I'm familiar with that behavior, and I find it very difficult to lose it. So what I do, I use a tool called as discounting to stay back with the behavior. Now, discounting is what? Like unawarely trying to ignore the information. For example, the first level is that discounting the stimulus. When there is the stimulus, like imagine a situation where a person is coughing, and you tell that person, see, you're coughing. In the first stage of discounting, that D1, the person says, no, I'm not coughing. I'm just clearing my throat. See, in spite of this symptom is there that he's coughing, he's not ready to accept that he's coughing. So he's discounting the stimulus. Now, the next stage, discounting the possibility of change. The second stage, the person is coughing, but is better. Now when you tell that you are coughing, and he says, yes, I am coughing, but he compares it with another problem and says, yeah, I cough it, but coughing is not a big issue. It goes off. Now, the third level, the person discounts change possibility. When the person is coughing, you tell him that he is coughing. You tell him, yes, I am coughing, but I've been smoking for a long time, and now it is not possible for me to change. When you tell that some person changed because he wanted to change, he tries to compare and project his situation as a unique situation. That person doesn't have any issues, problems. I have a lot of problems in my life. That is why I'm unable to come out of this. So because of this discounting pattern, we are unable to come out of this, and we develop some kind of a defense mechanism. Like if somebody gives you an option, why don't you? And you knock down saying, yes, but. A girl had a problem saying, see, I'm not beautiful, I'm not attractive, nobody talks to me. The psychologist gives her option. See, if you feel that you're not beautiful, you're not attractive, why don't you go to a beauty parlor? But the girl says, beauty parlor, yes, but beauty parlors are far away from my place. Then the psychologist further gives her another option saying, yeah, if that is the case, why don't you prepare something at home remedy, and apply on the face? The girl knocked down saying, yes, but I can't take risk with my skin because I don't know how it works. Now the psychologist goes further to give third option saying, see, in order to have friends, or you need not be only beautiful. If you have good number of friends, if you are good communicator, then also you can have good number of friends. But the girl says, yes, but I can't speak good English. Why don't you join a spoken English class? Yes, but most of the spoken English classes start late in the evening or early in the morning, and I can't find time. Then why don't you join a correspondence course? Yes, but most of the correspondence courses involve a lot of writing, and I don't like writing at all. So that way we try to knock down. The problem here is that, see, when I say instead of discounting, what we are supposed to do is that we are supposed to account for the situation wherever it is. Instead of discounting the reality, discounting the stimulus, if we account for the situation at any of the levels, we'll be able to be open to the information, and we'll be able to succeed. Now the point here is that what am I supposed to do? See, I've been given some injunctions, I've been given some prohibitions. Now what I can do, with the help of my own adult, I can be able to check the content. At some point of time, I was told something like this, but is it reasonable as a grown up? What was told to me, is it reasonable at this point of time, and provide more information and logical information so that can be reparented? Or see, when as a child, I took a lot of decisions which are there as a part of my child ego state. And these decisions are major decisions, but these decisions are taken with limited capacity to think and limited logic, limited information. I took major decisions. Now that point of time, I took a major decision that I am like this. But the problem here is that point of time, I didn't have enough information to support that decision. Now I can redecide what was once decided, can be redecided or undecided. With the adult support, we can get that logical input. Now, finally, are you able to see this slide?
Not the slide, sir, but folder.
Okay. Now,
PPT opening, sir.
is it right?
Yeah,
Are you
fine.
able to see?
Yes, sir. We could see the parallel transaction now.
Okay. Now, see, now there are two individuals involved in it, and the two individuals facing each other, and they are communicating with each other. That this interaction is shown through the arrows. Now there are two individuals. The first individual has PAC. The second individual has the PAC. The first individual decided to transact or interact or operate his behavior from the adult ego state. Is it fine? Now he targeted the adult ego state in the other person because he wanted adult response from that person. So he is operating from adult and is targeting adult in the other person, and the parallel transaction shows that he got back the response which he wanted. So he's successful in the transaction. For example, see, the person asked what is the time now, and the other person said it is 3 o'clock. It's a parallel transaction. I asked for some information and the other person gave me. The second slide, the first person decided to operate from the child ego state and he wanted to target the parent ego state in the other person. For example, the nurturing parent. And the second person also operated from the parent. So this person is successful in activating parent ego state in the second person, and he got back the expected response. For example, a husband came home and asked the wife, "Where are my socks?" The wife told, "Your socks are there in the cupboard." Or the husband came home and said, "I am really tired." So he's expecting the wife to take care of him. So the wife comes with a cup of coffee and she operating from the parent. So this transaction is successful. Now, when we go to the second transaction, the first person decided to operate from adult and he wanted to target adult in the other person, but he didn't get the expected response. So he went wrong. The behavior which he displayed, either it is the word, gesture, posture, or anything what he said or done, he targeted the adult in the other person, but he got back the response from the parent. And there's a cross in the communication. Now the person is unsuccessful in activating the ego state of his choice. For example, the husband asked the wife, "Where are my socks?" It's a data based information. He just wanted some information. Instead of the wife saying it is there in the cupboard, the wife said, "On my head." So she operated from the critical parent, and there is a cross. And from here, the series of crosses continue. When the wife says it's on my head, the husband may say, show me on your head. You are mad and your father is also mad. And the lady says, you are mad, your mother is also mad, and it goes on. And finally, the lady says, the husband says, get lost from here. And the wife reminds, for your kind information, this is my house. So the point here is that if I want to generate a response of my choice, I must see, is that the right time? For example, if you are going to your boss to ask for a raise or an increment, and you see that he has already had a heated argument with somebody over the phone, and that point of time you go, he's already logged into his critical parent, and that time you go and ask him about a raise, obviously you get a cross. So the ability of the person to design first what exactly should be the right behavior. I draw something from the parent, something from the adult, and design the behavior in display. And that display, I should also see whether the person is in the right situation to give me the expected response. Now, sometimes if you don't get the expected response, what we do? There are many situations where you want to activate the parent in the other person. The person may not get back from the parent, but still you should continue to operate from adult. Now, we have to devise a strategy. There is something called as 21 days formula, and any habit which you practice for a period of 21 days, you will be able to inculcate that into your personality. As per psycho-cybernetics, a person who underwent an accident, who loses a leg, for next 21 days, he still believes that there is a leg. So what we are supposed to do is that we have to make an action plan, practice the behavior for choice. What exactly is the behavior which I want to inculcate? And I have to practice that behavior for a period of 21 days, and that becomes a part of our personality and habit. Now, before I'm about to conclude, now I think, why do we do what we do, and can we change what we do if I want to? I think the essence of the program was this, that you have understood that we behave. When we behave, we have a psychic structure. We are different because we have a different psychic structure. We have different kind of parenting and childhood, and our intrapsychic process, or our style of problem solving and decision making differs because the psychic elements are different. And now when I display my behavior outside, I have certain impact on the other person, and then how to understand the other person's ego state, so that I'll be able to make my transaction successful. Probably whatever the program which we started off with, we were to somewhat successful in this program. So next program, I think we may go for a further this thing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for taking time out of your pre-planned event and sharing your thoughts on this behavioral aspects and all.
Probably due to some technical issues, but still, try to carry forward.
I appreciate that, sir. And
Thank you.
I request Deshpande ji to speak for a couple of minutes and talk.
Yeah, I'm very happy that our training academy is picking up, and I'm more happy because you have now opted for in-house talent on management techniques. I am hearing Mr. Dinesh for the second time. I don't know whether he remembers it.
Yeah, I remember, sir. I remember.
Yeah, he spoke to chemist and druggist, our community pharmacist.
Yes, sir. Yes.
I'm sure. In fact, I had told Mr. Uday Bhaskar that sometime we should invite him. And it's good, Lakshmi, that you have roped in Mr. Dinesh here. And this is how we have to encourage the talent within the organization. And because of Mr. Dinesh's lecture, the others will get motivated that I can also do this. That should be the positive effect of such programs. I'm sure the participants have enjoyed this, and we look forward to his future lecture, perhaps with little technical issues sorted out. Thank you, Dinesh.
Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. And I request the audience to pose their questions in Q&A if you would like to have any clarification from Mr. Dinesh. And we are also running a poll for the feedback on the program. So I request all the audience to participate in this feedback and share your thoughts so that we could work on improvisation of the program for our future webinars. And I sincerely again request everyone to participate in this poll.